Okay, folks, I think we'll make a start for today. First of all, welcome. To those of you who've not been to any of the seminars over the last couple of days, where have you been? But we've got a wonderful seminar today entitled We Have a Voice Too. And I am joined by a number of colleagues here who are going to talk to you through and share with you what it is that they've used, the resources and the variety of strategies that they've used to capture the voice of learners who find it more difficult to communicate. But before I hand over to them, could I please ask you to sit back and put your feet up, first of all? This session will be recorded, so please don't do that yourself. We have the code of conduct on the slide on the screen at the moment. That I'm sure you are all aware of, but please adhere to today. We're going to start by introducing ourselves in the chat. So if you have a moment, could you just simply put in who you are and where you're joining us from today? And that just helps us understand our audience too. We are going to be showing you some videos today. So during the presentation, when the videos are on, you could make sure that your videos and your mics are off as well. It helps save the bandwidth and make sure that the videos come across well. And we'll also, please feel free to put any questions that you have within the chat. We will endeavour to answer them throughout the presentation, but however, at the end, if we've got some time, fingers crossed, we can answer some as well. But we hope to try and get all of your answers in by the end of the session. So thank you again for joining us this afternoon. And I will start with no further ado with introducing Aisling, my colleague here from, it's North Lanarkshire, isn't it? Or have I got the wrong one? South Lanarkshire. Sorry.
Don't worry.
Over to you, Aisling. Thank you.
Okay, hi, I'm Aisling Boyle. I am the Inclusive Education Manager in South Lanarkshire. If you don't know South Lanarkshire, we have 30 ASN provisions, and they range obviously from bases within schools, sensory provisions, to standalone schools for primary and secondary. So we're really well provided for. We're really lucky, and I know that. But I'm here today to tell you a wee bit about the journey that we've had regarding our communication, total communication across the board, but also AACs and how we've given children a voice that find it difficult, as Sam said. Okay. So hopefully you can all see this as well. And you will have signed up today knowing that we're talking about capturing the voice of all learners and how important that is, or you wouldn't be here, I'm sure. As a council, South Lanarkshire took cognizance of where we were from a legislation point of view a few years ago. And if you aren't familiar with the things that would drive something like this within your council, we decided that we would look at everything that we were intending to do as an improvement priority, but also because we have to, because of these things that are on the screen just now. So in 2012, Right to Speak was published, and Now Hear Me in 2015, which set out a vision for Scotland where people who use AAC are fully included in our society, and it's an equality issue. The Article 12 of the UNCRC states that all children have a right to express their views and have them taken seriously in accordance with their age and maturity. And it's in Scots law, as we all know. A call for action was where we want us to be by 2030. Scottish legislation, part 4 of, and it's a strange one, but it's one that's memorable. All of this is within the Health, Tobacco, Nicotine and Care Scotland Act, and tells us that it is a person's right to have a voice, and that's something that we have to adhere to. And if they need an AAC, we should provide it. The Charter of Patients' Rights and Responsibilities. Communication or freedom of expression is a basic human right and is enshrined in Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. To this end, individuals with communication impairment may require augmentative and alternative equipment to realise their communication potential. And so this is the guidance on the provision of the communication equipment that we will show you some and demonstrate today. And we're lucky to have people to do that for us. Also, I'm sure you all know the ASL review at local authority and school level. We're seeking to fully involve and listen to children, so we need to give them the voice that they need. And the AAC core pathway is something that we are trying to adhere to within South Lanarkshire as well. So this is where we began. We decided that we would look at the very basic level of communication. We decided that we weren't good at it and it needed to be part of our school improvement plan for every ASN establishment that we have. And we are now going to roll it out to the wider mainstream provisions as well, and you'll see why that is. So a lot of the time, establishments think when they hear alternative communication, they think that's not for us. And that's what we're trying to get a message across about. The total communication approach benefits everybody. Now, you know yourself, if somebody was to give you instructions in a language you didn't know and then wait for you to do it and get really angry when you didn't do it, it'd be quite difficult for you. And sometimes our children feel that way about when we give them instructions because they don't understand what it is that they're being asked to do, from a communication point of view, from a social communication point of view, but also basically because sometimes there's other barriers, anxiety, things like that, where they're not taking it in. So every single child, mainstream right through to ASN, and adult, can benefit from clear communication. And I really like this picture where basically what we're doing is we're looking at a universal design for learning, which is a move from thinking about an individual child as having an additional support need, and thinking how we can create inclusive learning environments for everybody that benefits everybody. So you see the wee guy in the wheelchair who's saying, why can't you shovel the ramp first? Because everybody can get up the ramp. Instead, he's doing the stairs first for one set of people and then the ramp for him afterwards. If he just cleared the path that worked for everybody, then we'd be able to actually manage up the steps. And that in the same way, if we clear the path for everybody with communication, then we would actually be able to be more equitable about how we're doing that. And also there'd be more children who would be understanding what it is we're asking of them. So what were the actions in South Lanarkshire that we did? So we had a pan-Lanarkshire multi-agency group formed to address the legislative. So all the things that I read out to you about legislation, we knew we had to address them. We involved the NHS, we went through North and South Lanarkshire, and we tried our best to make sure that those groups were forming some kind of response to all of that legislation that we could then translate into the schools. And we had a communication and education working group, which was our head teachers and some of our teachers from our schools within South Lanarkshire. And we wanted to make some guidance that went from basic communication right up to the use of low-tech, high-tech and very high-tech devices. And we did what we came up with. We did need some money to put that out there. And at the time we were lucky because we had the GIRFEC budget, and Inclusion had the GIRFEC budget and was able to do that for us. And for all of our primary ASN establishments, we ended up from that group with a guidance booklet inside a big plastic box from IKEA with lots of different devices from low tech to high tech. So from visuals to PEX symbols to board maker symbols, right up to buttons, go talks, so that they could have a go because people are afraid and they don't think it applies to them. And that improved the across the board in ASN establishments, primary level, improved the confidence of our staff to give it a go. And also it showed them how easily they could make clear communication with objects or reference and just communication in a clearer way for everybody. So now we have that and we have it as an improvement priority, and people are starting to look at CPD. There are tourist modules. If you look up tourist, you'll see there's modules that go from very basic, what is communication, what should I be looking out for, right up to more complicated use of communication aids. And there's training from Call Scotland as well that you can bring into your school. It's quite cheap and that made a big difference and allowed people to see the benefit of total communication. Those of us who might be new to AAC, what is it? It's alternative and augmentative communication, and it is what it says. So it's used to describe various methods of communication that can help those who do not have verbal speech to communicate with, and it's their right to be assisted. It covers a range of high-tech and low-tech strategies that support or replace spoken communication. So from gestures to signing to symbols, words, objects, communication boards, anything at all that helps communication can be seen as an AAC. The purpose is to build capacity, endeavour to remove barriers and provide meaning to all aspects of school life. A whole school or establishment approach to the implementation of total communication needs to be adopted, and because it's legislative. Ensuring a consistent approach throughout, it's important to note that also where there is communication difficulty, staff should simplify their language and in some cases only use single words, object of reference and visuals. So we're going to start today by showcasing some low-tech communication support. So low-tech communication equipment relates to any type of equipment used specifically for communication. It doesn't require batteries. Very easy to remember. Things like Makaton, picture communications, symbols should be used throughout an establishment by all staff to facilitate understanding and expression. Makaton and signage need to be evident across all the schools and to make sure that you are giving children a voice from a very low-tech perspective. So the person who's going to demonstrate this today for us is Katie Robinson, who is the head teacher at Sanderson High School in East Kilbride. And I will hand over to you now, Katie, to introduce yourself as soon as I can stop sharing this. There you go. Okay.
Hi there. Hi there. Can you hear me okay? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. My name's Katie Robinson. I'm the head teacher at Sanderson High School. So just a bit of background about our school. We are an ASN secondary school in East Kilbride, and we have 112 pupils with a very wide range of additional support needs. We do find that the majority of our pupils do experience difficulties with their communication, and so we use a wide variety of different ways to enhance their communication and to improve our communication with our pupils as well. We find that the low-tech methods of AAC actually have some key benefits. So we find that they are cheap, they are portable, they are easy to use. You can easily whack together some objects of reference or make word maker symbols or some visuals, photographs, or you can make them really relevant to the young person and you can make them quickly. And that's one of our big advantages with the low-tech or lower-tech options. We're going to show you a video of one of our fantastic principal teachers demonstrating a talking mat. And what we do find is that talking mats are fantastic with all abilities of pupils. So we find that even with our more able pupils, having that distance, you can sit alongside them rather than face to face, which makes it less confrontational. And it really is an excellent way to encourage them to order their thoughts as well as to give their opinions. I'm sure lots of people are familiar with talking mats already. What you're going to see in this video, just to introduce the video a bit, is one of our second year pupils who is relatively able. He is just settling back into class after the return in the summer, and he has Tourette's syndrome, so he does find it quite difficult to order his thoughts and also to provide his views. The principal teacher is asking him about the classes that he likes, so you'll see him how he's using the talking mat and how she's using it with him. And the next step is that she is going to go into more detail and make further talking mats. So the advantage of using the talking mat is that he's getting the one-to-one time. It's nice and slow. You can use the symbols or the concrete objects as fast or slow as is relevant for the pupil. He's getting the one-to-one and he's able to order his thoughts and say to the principal teacher what's going well for him, what does he like and what does he not like. So that's really valuable information that can then be shared with teaching staff or even with parents, and from that we can try and find appropriate ways to help him. So I think that's probably enough for me. I'll just show you the video. Thank you, Sam.
Okay, so what you're going to do is choose things that you like, things that you don't like, and then if you're not sure, we can put it in the middle. And it's all about school. So first we're going to go through all the classes. Let me see what we start with. Okay. PE class. I've given it to you and you choose. So We like PE. Maths class. I know where this is going. Art class. Be honest. Not sure? Okay. We'll come back at the end and you can tell me why you're not sure. Tuesday afternoon when we do IDL, do you like that, not like it, or I'm not sure? Okay. Home economics class. Like cooking. Literacy class. Okay. French. Okay. English. If you're in a room, you can just pop it up there. Okay. Social subjects. What are you learning about social subjects just now? Are you doing history? I think so. PSE. You like a lot at school. IT class. Education for work. Good job. Design technology. How's that going just now? Okay. Music. RE. Science. Drama. And numeracy class. Okay, so you like all these classes? You're not sure about art? And there's nothing that you don't like. Okay. Let's go through them, and now if you want to, you can move them to any other part. So, still happy with PE? It's going well? Okay. Math class? IDL? Oh, you decide. What do you think? You don't like IDL? That's okay, that's your choice. Home economics? Literacy? French? English? Social subjects? PSE? What about IT? What about education for work? Design technology? Okay. Music? RE, we're still thumbs up. Science? Numeracy? And drama. They're all okay. Okay, let's talk about these ones so we can work out what's going wrong and what we can make better. So art class, you were in art class just now, not sure. Tell me a bit more about art class. What's good?
Drawing.
You like drawing? Okay. What's not so good? Talking. When you're talking, or when someone else is talking? Someone else is talking. Is it someone in your class, or is it the teacher? The teacher. Do you like when the teacher is talking? Yes or no? Okay. Do you understand what the teacher's saying to you? Right. So we need to work out what it is that you don't like when she's talking. Is it the sound? Is it the sound? Is it her voice? Or what she says? Her voice or what she says? What she says. Okay. Maybe me, you and the teacher can meet at the start of class so you know what you have to do, and that might help. And I can tell her what you told me you like drawing. IDL, we moved right down to no, we don't like that. Tell me a bit more about that. Can you remember what your IDL is? That's the Tuesday afternoon when we have the 2 periods together. and we do some outdoor learning. You did forest schools before, and now you're doing different topics. But we're not happy with that. Do you know why? Can you tell me? You're not sure? Okay. We will get some more pictures and we'll see if we can find out a bit more about that. Okay. Can you help me tidy these ones up? We'll keep choose, like, and do not like. And then we will look a bit more about school and what's working, what's not about school. Okay? Well done, Christy.
Aisling, I think you may be on mute.
Apologies, there's always somebody and it's me today. Thank you to Nancy and thank you to Christopher for that. And we're going to move on now to some high-tech communication. I won't read these out to you, but basically we're going to enable users and add them to, or try to get them to replace their spoken communication and aid their understanding by a higher tech set of possibilities. Okay, so I am going to hand over again, if you bear with me, to the head teacher of Victoria Park School, who is Liz Coomber, and Liz will give you a wee roundup of her place of work and the children that she has there. Okay.
Thanks, Aisling. Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us. As Aisling says, I'm Liz Coomber, head teacher at Victoria Park School. We're a school for learners like Katie's school, Sanderson. We're a school for children with complex additional support needs. We're in Falkirk, South Lanarkshire. And I'll put a link in the chat if anybody's interested in finding out more about our school. So I don't go into too much detail there. You know, if you're interested, you can follow the link. In our video, you'll hear Principal Teacher Elspeth Blair talk about our school's journey using AAC, you know, pretty much following the path that Aisling's described in the introduction. Before you watch the video, a bit of context from me. High tech is only part of our total communication approach. Our teachers are using it in an extensive range of communication supports, from low tech objects of reference that have been discussed and e-tram frames, which people might not be familiar with, and using printed forms of visuals, eye gaze. But I'm going to steer clear of eye gaze because I know Phoebe Green from Riverbray is going to be talking about that shortly. So why is AAC important in our setting? We have 64 pupils currently, and of those, to give you the context, 55% are non-verbal, all requiring a considerable amount of additional support to help make sense of their world. 42% of our learners use some functional spoken words at any time, but not always in context or consistently, and often these children's speech is unclear to unfamiliar adults, people that aren't used to their speech patterns. An additional 3% of our learners can express themselves clearly with spoken language, but they'll still experience difficulties with retention of information or recall of information. So they still, we would argue, benefit greatly from visual supports. So our feeling at Victoria Park is AAC is vital for our learners. AAC supports our vision in terms of children's right to have their voice heard and in terms of them achieving towards the 4 capacities in Curriculum for Excellence. And I think AAC most definitely benefits our children who are reluctant communicators, for example, our neurodivergent learners, and for those who we may need to be active in creating reasons for them to communicate. All these children benefit from and are motivated by the voice output gadgets that we provide at Victoria Park. AAC's been at the forefront of our improvement agenda for many years, in excess of 5 years. And since the establishment of the Pupil Equity Fund, we've employed a dedicated school support assistant to ensure that our responses to children's communication needs are timely and often, because of this resource, can be spontaneous. Now, I totally respect how lucky we are at having that kind of PEF in our budget, but that's our children's needs, and we're here to meet them. So as a management team, we welcome the guidance and the provision for communication equipment that Aislin's talked about within the Government's Health Act, the tobacco one. It's an unusual title, but there it is. This act gave us, I think, leverage with our teacher colleagues, as it is now no longer a teaching option to provide AAC for learners, but it's a matter of a child or young person's rights, as Aislin's detailed in the introduction also. We'd all, as a management team, we'd long held this as an educational principle, and now we've got the backing, as Aislinn has said, it's now embedded in law. And I'll put a link to that act in the chat also, if that's useful to people. So in our video, we've highlighted outcomes from Education Scotland's milestones, supporting learners with complex additional support needs, and Curriculum for Excellence E's and O's where they're relevant, and just to show what each child is achieving in the video through their use of AAC, I should say. And importantly for those who are joining us tonight, you'll see how practitioners across our setting are using AAC to support the learners to fulfil our vision that they grow to be the best they can be. For those who are not so familiar with the technology, Elspeth and I have tried to show progression in the learners' use of AAC. So, for example, our initial footage shows children using gadgets and voice output devices in ways that people might be more familiar with children using cause and effect toys. But then you'll hopefully see through the video the impact of regular and routine use of AAC, which enables our children to share their thoughts on their learning, their wants and their wishes, and some simply chatting with others. And ultimately AAC's supporting the lessening of barriers to learning. So we hope you enjoy the video, and I'll happily try to answer any questions that come out of the video in the chat if that would help. So that's the intro to our video, Sam, if that's okay.
Hello, my name is Elspeth Blair and I'm a Principal Teacher at Victoria Park School. In my role as Principal Teacher, I led the Total Communication Development Group, and in response to the Scottish legislation Part 4 of the Health Act 2016, we devised an action plan to develop our existing approaches to our total communication strategies, including AAC. The development group consisted of teaching and support staff with a range of experience. As a group, we created a document that identified children's preferred means of communication. A range of methods of communication are detailed within children's communication documents, depending on individual needs, and these are accessible to all staff working to support children. We called the document Communicating with Me. By each child having an identified preferred method of communication ensures that every child has the necessary supports in place to enable them to make sense of their environment, understand others and increase levels of understanding, be as independent as possible, express themselves to the best of their ability, participate actively and have their voice heard. The Communicating with Me document ensures that all staff are aware of the importance of providing pupils with appropriate AAC, thereby fulfilling our legislative duties and respecting children's rights. We use a range of simple high-tech communication equipment within Victoria Park to enable our pupils to have a voice. Here are some examples of them.
Good morning, Oda. Hello, hello, glad that you could come. Hello, hello, glad that you could come. Aye, glad that you could come. Aye, glad that you could come. Good morning, Oda.
We're all together again, we're here, we're all together again, we're here, and who knows when we'll be all together again, singing all together again, we're here, Is Aria here?
I'm here, I'm here.
Is Aria here?
I'm
1, 2, 3,
Bubbles!
1, 2, 3, go!
Bubbles!
1, 2, 3, go!
Bubbles!
1, 2, 3, go!
One last time.
1, 2, 3.
What's the weather like today?
Sunny.
It's sunny.
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 Show Elspeth, what does Chenkai want? It's fine. BBC nursery rhymes. Ready? BBC nursery rhymes for Chenkai. BBC nursery rhymes. Chenkai, choose a song. The bear went over the mountain. BBC nursery rhymes. The bear went over the mountain.
Doll.
Want to play with the doll? Yes. And what are you going to do with the doll, Chantel?
Auto.
And what are you going to do with it?
Feet.
Feet.
Change nappy.
Okay. Oh.
Thank you, Liz, and your staff for that. It was excellent. We're going to move on now to some complex high-tech support, which will be demonstrated by Phoebe Green from River Bray. And what we'll be looking at will be more specialist support that will be more individual and more complex, but allowing children with more complex needs to be able to actually express themselves, as we've been saying the whole time today. So, Phoebe, over to you.
Thank you so much. Hi everyone, I'm Phoebe and I'm from River Bray School. We're based in Paisley. We have 230 or just over 230 pupils on our roll and a wide variety of needs. So we've been using eye gaze for about 6 years now. We work closely with our speech and language therapists. They are your go-to if you want to get started with eye gaze. The other partner that we use a lot is SCTCI, which stands for the Scottish Centre of Technology for the Communication Impaired. They are funded through the NHS and they will help you get set up with what you need. Now, they don't necessarily fund it, I must put that in there, but they will point you in the right direction for funding and things like that. So I'm going to talk today about a technology that is amazing. And for that reason, it can be a bit daunting to people because it is such a great invention. But please don't think that you have to be a high-flying expert to get started with eye gaze, because you do not. Anyone who has a pupil in front of you who you want to communicate with, or not even about communication, it can be about controlling something on a computer, then you can get started. So the technology allows the user to use the movements of their eye to control the computer. So basically the eye becomes the mouse. The best way to really show you about eye gaze is to show you one of our pupils using it. So I'm going to show you a video now of Luke. Luke is a young man he's 12 now. He's a fun, sociable young man. He's got cerebral palsy, a global developmental delay. He requires full support for most of his daily living. So that's personal care, eating and drinking. However, as you'll see in these videos, he's got a lot that he wants to communicate. So if we can get started with the video, Sam, that would be great. That's great. So you're going to see Luke 5 years ago, and this is the very start of his eye gaze journey. As you can see, he's noticed that something's on the screen and he's a bit interested in it, but he's also, his head will fall to the side. He's not really realised yet that he can control what's on the screen. And that stage can take a while, but it's worth sticking with, because as you're going to see in a wee second, he quickly gets that he can control what's on the screen. So he's a bit tired there. It's very tiring to start off with. It takes a lot of concentration, and it takes quite a lot of physical effort for a lot of our young people as well. So you do have to give them time. But as you can see here, Luke has quickly realised he's controlling what's on the screen, and look at the interest and the concentration on his face. He's just loving it. That didn't take very long. That only took a few days. For other young people, it can take longer, and I think you just have to take it at their pace. But he's realising that if he directs his gaze and holds his gaze, he's doing something on that screen. So here's Luke today, and this is him in class. We don't use the eye gaze all the time because that would be very intense to be in front of a screen all the time. So he's doing some maths, but he's using his eye tracking to do his maths. Now, Sam, if we can play some sound here, I want you to see that Luke is now using this in a busy classroom environment.
Did you like the story?
So he's doing comprehension work, and he doesn't like the story he's just read. But it's great that he can tell us that. He's using his voice.
How many stars?
How many stars?
He still gives it 4 stars though. I think that's quite good.
What is your favourite Julia Donaldson book?
What one do you like best?
Room on the Broom.
And then he's
The
able to
Gruffalo.
tell us what book he would prefer. He's told us he doesn't like it, but here's a book I would prefer. So that's Luke leading his learning as well, and he's accessing the same things that his peers are doing in the classroom at the same time as you heard. So please don't be put off by eye gaze being a big scary technical endeavour. It is, but it's worth it for our young people who can access it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Phoebe. And hopefully that's helped everybody see a whole range there of different supports and strategies that can be used with learners of all ability. And I'm sure, Aisling, if there's anything else, do you want to finish off with anything from the presentation?
Not at all, just to say thank you to everybody who presented and for the hard work they put into it, and that I hope everybody enjoyed it. And obviously we're here for questions as well.
Yeah, we've got a few minutes left. If anybody does have any questions, if they want to put them in the chat, or indeed age old, put your hand up and we can come to you. I think as many people have said over this session today, this is not just for the children with more complex needs. Many of our learners, for whatever reason, have difficulty communicating at some point or another. Many adults that we work with do have these difficulties too. So lots of the strategies that have been described today can be used as part of a plan to support learners. We've got I don't see any other questions coming up. Lots of really positive comments there. Thank you. Mrs. Pearson, do you have a question? No, it's lovely to see your face though.
Can I just say that's Nancy from the video, and I really want to know, Nancy, what does he not like about IDL? We didn't get to the end. What does he not like about IDL?
I think we worked out he couldn't remember what it was on the Tuesday, so he was okay with it in the end.
All right, I see. Thank you for doing that, Nancy. It was brilliant.
Oh, you're welcome. He's a pleasure to work with.
It was really lovely to see talking mats being used, actually, because you don't get that opportunity very often to sit in on a session and spy on it. So that was really good.
Well, I think as there don't seem to be any questions coming up, it's just left for us to say thank you so much, both to Aisling and Katie and Liz and Phoebe, and indeed Vicky, who I think's possibly been in the background helping, from Falkirk, and all of your staff and all of the work and effort you've put into today's seminar. Thank you so much. I know that this will be utilised and viewed many times, no doubt, we look forward to seeing the impact of all of this fantastic work, both for yourselves and also hopefully for others in the future. Thank you again. And as Alison's put in the chat there, a wee reminder that please feel free to tweet about today's seminar or indeed anything else from the Scottish Learning Festival. And we look forward to hearing from you all. Any other questions, fire away if necessary after the session. Thank you so much. Bye for now.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks. Bye, everybody.